Okay, nice cold start. We're on.
Nice. What's this? Episode 18.
Yes, we're really moving into maturity now.
They can legally drink. She can legally drink. I think we're calling it a she.
We've decided it. It's like a boat, you know. It's like a fantastic. This is our weekly voyage on the great ship GWS.
Our piracy.
Yeah,
going to the Caribbean to raid Catholic ships.
Yeah, this is like pirate radio, you know, this kind of thing.
Yeah, it
like
basically is.
Grassroots pirate radio.
Yeah, that's how Jimmy Savile won his stripes, I believe, originally.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad we're on the same career path as Sir Jimmy Savile. He
invented
sir, right?
DJing.
Yeah.
He was Sir Jimmy Savile.
Is he still Sir Jimmy Savile? Did they?
Can you posthumously remove a knighthood?
No, he's still Sir.
Respect.
Yeah, he's kept it. Good man.
Yeah.
Balls of steel.
What were we saying? He was the first guy to DJ with two turntables to do
wow, a real DJ
like
then,
modern DJing. I think he was the first guy to do that and to use like a crossfader to switch from one track to the other. I'm pretty sure he invented that. Cool. Yeah. There you go.
So everyone
History
in the clubs, when you look at the DJ, think Jimmy Savile.
That is a different instantiation of the overall kind of idea, the platonic idea of Sir Jimmy Savile.
Of Sir Jimmy Savile.
Really.
Like Sir Keir Starmer. So in typical fashion of the podcast, as I think is the same with everyone, we recorded last week and then war started in Iran.
Yeah, like that day. Like the day.
It was literally like that day. I remember we finished and I leant over and showed you the thing of like Ayatollah.
Yeah, just the headline.
Yeah. There's like Ayatollah.
That was a crazy moment. Yeah. I'll definitely remember that moment. You did the way you executed that very well. The way that you just kind of like showed the headline.
Just showed the headline. Breaking news.
Yeah. It's not often you get news that actually makes you worry, like, oh shit, I might get conscripted into something. I mean, hopefully we won't, but you never know how things start. Like, it might just seem like a war between the US and Israel with Iran.
Yeah, well, think about the Second World War, like no one was thinking when the Japanese kind of invaded China in like 1937, they weren't thinking, oh, this will be part of a world war that will go on for another 6 years or whatever.
Or even like when the Germans invaded Czechoslovakia, people in England still thought we can avoid war as long as he doesn't invade
they voted
Poland.
For it. Yeah. He'll stop at Czechoslovakia. He'll stop at the Rhineland. He'll stop at Austria. Yeah.
And if we get him to sign a document saying that he promises that,
he won't do it because he's a good, honest
then it cannot happen. Then within like weeks.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much to discuss with this. We've got obviously Keir Starmer getting Donald Trump saying that Keir Starmer is like a no Churchill. He's failing to defend Cyprus from a drone.
Would Churchill have gone to? How would Churchill have reacted? He probably wouldn't have liked Donald Trump on a personal level. I don't think so.
No.
It's like Donald Trump is like the worst of America since like the 50s in the form it's had since the 50s. Whereas Churchill did love America, but I guess the America that he loved is very different from the country it now is.
And especially towards the end of the war, Churchill was getting really sick of the Americans, especially in the Pacific. Because obviously the British really wanted to help to show that they could help. But the Americans didn't want the British help at all. They wanted the full victory over Japan.
Well, they wanted to take over that part of the world, essentially. Which is basically what they did.
I mean, we only wanted to go in to maintain the empire, effectively. Yeah. And the Americans didn't want that. So there was a lot of consternation towards the end of the war in the Pacific with Churchill and Truman and FDR.
Yeah, America was basically saying, like, we're the anti-imperialist country. We don't want to support the British Empire's continued existence.
And the French.
They're actually, the French. But what they're actually saying is, we're going to take over what you guys are doing now. Like,
Yeah,
that's
because
actually what it was.
The French tried to
Vietnam.
go back into Vietnam, Indochina, after the Japanese had been kicked out and were fighting the Vietnamese. And they were like, America, please, can you give us a hand? And the Americans were like, get fucked. They loved Ho Chi Minh because he was kicking out the French and preventing the French imperialism restarting.
And then they just ended up doing it themselves.
Yeah, it's really funny how times change like that, isn't it?
Yeah, all very quickly as well.
Yeah, very quickly.
I mean, it's weird to even fathom the idea of France owning like a whole country like Vietnam now.
Especially one on the other side of the world. Like, you can kind of imagine them in Africa or something.
Yeah, like Algiers.
Algiers,
but yeah.
But halfway across the world, no one really thinks of the French as that kind of global empire. But obviously they had Canada.
No.
Some of Canada. America.
Yeah.
Like Louisiana, all the southern states were French.
That's true, yeah. You know, people forget about that. You would assume it was just like Mexico.
New Orleans, you know?
But yeah, it's, yeah. Yeah, and America just fucking bought Louisiana off the French, didn't they?
Yes,
that was how
Louisiana
they did it.
Purchase.
They just bought it. Who was president then? Was that Jackson? I thought it might have been Jackson.
Yeah, could have been. I have no idea. I don't know
Founder
much
of the
about...
Democrat Party.
There you go.
Yeah.
The more you know. So what do we think about Donny telling Keir to... Because Starmer's now saying that an aircraft carrier is being prepared. The HMS Prince of Wales is being prepared to sail for the Gulf. And now Donny's saying, well, it's too late. He says, Britain is preparing an aircraft carrier and destroy for the Middle East, but the President of America says... the President has said America has already won. In typical Donald Trump fashion.
Bullshit.
In
just
typical
lying.
Donald Trump fashion.
It's going to take a lot to win against Iran. I mean, could you
the US
imagine
isn't
how
going to lose, but winning... I mean, what is winning? I still think the US hasn't said what winning is.
No, they have no objectives.
Exactly.
It's just like...
It's just, we're going to just bomb the shit out of Iran. But this is the problem with all these modern... It's the same with Russia. Like, you have to lay down an objective. Otherwise, and the same with work. You have to lay down an objective to say when you're done. And I think... I mean, if you ask Israel, they'll just say, oh, it's to wipe fucking Iran off the map.
Well, that's what they want,
if we just make a hole where Iran is, directly to the centre of the earth, they'll be happy.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. And then but they've got this really close relationship with America, which means that if they're like, we're going to do that, Donald Trump will be like, okay, I'll help you. I think
they're more than happy.
That's the only explanation.
I mean, the American High Command is more than happy to do because war is money, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, if there's no war, what's the point of the generals? It's the Ministry of War now, isn't it?
And there are a whole massive...
Department of War,
yeah, but there are also whole massive industries that profit off of war. I know this is like a really like basic, you know, like 15-year-old kind of libertarian point to make or whatever, but like, you know, military industrial complex, it's a real thing, especially in America.
True. I mean, they fund $3 trillion or something. They funnel so much money into the
and all the intelligence stuff, which they're massively probably an overrepresented industry in the U.S. economy at this point. Like it's probably inefficient, the amount of investment going into basically intelligence technology. Now that I guess LLMs have blown up and the internet is so widespread, and like we have all these social media platforms that are capable of extracting so much data on people.
Yeah, people are just giving out the data. Everyone's worried about like harvesting data. Well, you're just putting it out there.
But I wonder if it's like the US economy is just completely overweighted in that stuff, and that's more likely to precipitate conflict because, again, those industries can benefit tremendously from war.
I think that's why we're seeing that shift to kind of cyber warfare. You know, what they did with Venezuela, I mean, they turned the power off to the entire city. They just flicked the switch and the city went dark. You know, all the air defenses and stuff were useless. Yeah. I mean, I think scary, but...
Yeah. But the Maduro operation was like a lot easier to do than... I mean, obviously they killed the Ayatollah. That was the headline you showed me that blew my mind last weekend. But
they just bombed him.
But I feel like there's a lot more. There are some insane people out there, presumably.
Yeah,
who would put up a really big fight, a protracted fight against the US if needs be.
Yeah, so they've now Iran has now said they've chosen a new supreme leader, and I think it'll depend how quickly Israel can kill this guy, because they have vowed to kill him.
I've heard that the guy they put in charge, I heard, is an academic.
The Times doesn't say anything about who it is. Oh wow, beautiful. The Times hasn't said who it is. I know that the Ayatollah's son, I think, was high up on the list of people who.
Maybe it was just the provisional guy, because I think I heard about that like early this week. So it's probably just the interim provisional guy managing the transition or whatever.
Thousands of people across Spain have denounced violence against women and the war in the Middle East, apparently. So thanks, Spain.
I'm glad they've denounced it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. So that's good. I'm just looking at some of the headlines. Someone died in Dubai after a drone was intercepted.
Who? Where are they from?
Pakistan.
Oh, it's a Pakistani.
Well, it's in Dubai, so there's no one actually from Dubai who lives there, because they're all like
That's
slaves.
what I'm saying. I was wondering if it was a
90% of people there are
person.
just slaves.
A lot of the people there are British.
Yes.
But it's funny, all the people have been pointing out the irony of like tax-funded flights to save the British people in Dubai and bring them back to the UK, even though they went out there specifically to avoid paying tax.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the major irony everyone's pointing out. I think a friend of the show, Andrew Tate, is in Dubai at the moment.
Oh, excellent. Very good.
With this going on. I think, I'm
sure we'll see some eye-opening commentary from friend of the show, Andrew Tate. Sir Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
As he will soon be, no doubt.
Sir Andrew Tate, yeah.
What do you think about Dubai? I have no interest in going to that place.
I was at the co-op the other day getting groceries. And
the co-op, the Dubai of the UK, basically.
As I came to the queue, I saw they were selling donuts that were Dubai chocolate flavored.
Isn't that what is the Dubai?
They have like luxury packaging. Dubai chocolate is like
is it like pistachio flakes or something? It's like that.
I think it's just pistachio and chocolate. Yeah. But it like blew up. I think mostly as a meme.
It's
more than a
chopped
real
phyllo
thing.
Pastry and pistachio cream.
So it's like a baklava with chocolate.
Yeah, basically.
Which sounds pretty good, but like I'm not sure I'd want that on a donut. Now, but that's beside my point. The point I'm trying to make is Dubai seems to be very much more prominent culturally now than it ever has been before.
Dubai,
to the point where it's like the most fashionable place of 2026, I guess. Every now and then there's a fashionable place. I mean, there's a hierarchy of fashionable places. Like Mykonos is very fashionable, but it's not on the level of Dubai.
Dubai just seems like the fakest place in the world to me.
It seems awful. I mean, a lot of people go there for the tax reasons, but like there is a lot of business there going on there now, because ultimately that whole part of the world is tremendously wealthy entirely because of natural resources.
I mean, having had dealings with like Saudi high ups and people from Dubai and stuff, they are so fickle with their money. They have so much money, and they will just throw it at whatever they fancy at the time. And if you don't get a deal done within a couple of like weeks, they don't care anymore. They're just like, we'll spend it somewhere else. It's just crazy. These people just
they've got a very difficult situation, or like this is what's going on essentially. Is they got all this money from natural resources, but over time those resources become increasingly scarce. Which
it's
means
not
two
forever
things.
for certain.
Yeah, firstly, it means they're not going to have them forever. Secondly, it means that they're making, like, the amount they'll make will keep on increasing in terms of money, because scarcity drives up the value of things. Yeah. So they've got an opportunity which they have to take to invest in a bunch of other industries that aren't entirely focused around natural resources. So that's why they're like building all these crazy cities in Saudi Arabia and
like
Qatar,
the Neon
wherever.
Project and all this bullshit they're trying.
Yeah, it's like they've got so much money to invest with, and they have to invest like like starting now, because surely like we're reaching a point where these resources, and also, you know, there might be new technology developed that makes what little resources they have left like essentially completely obsolete and more inefficient to use, more costly to use.
Yeah,
and even though I don't know what that technology would be, like it feels pretty clear that that could happen, like very quickly.
I think the second we get some kind of fusion that we can consistently carry out, fossil fuels are just going to be wiped away. Because you could power an entire country on a single fusion reactor, you know, eventually. So
it would be so much more efficient.
I think that's going to be the next like unlock in our kind of civilization.
Yeah.
I think
now the interesting question with that,
war for energy or anything. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, the interesting question for that, it would be what countries or what areas on the planet would best be suited to, you know, produce, like having the most control over that technology, like having the most access to it. You know,
I think if anyone's going to develop it, it's going to be America, Britain, France, or China. These are the countries that are really pumping resources into fusion stuff. Maybe Russia, but their economy is so tanked right now from building missiles.
I thought they don't have
that they're not
they don't
really
have a technological edge.
No, definitely not. No, I mean you think of Russian tech, and it's like 50 years behind at this point. Like in the 70s and 80s, they had very advanced technology, but now they're just they're just riding that wave of advanced in the 80s, but now it's not so impressive.
Yeah. In the 70s and 80s, there wasn't just Russia either. It was the Soviet Union. Like, it was huge.
Yeah, they had an enormous amount of resource.
Yeah, and now, like, I imagine a lot of the researchers would have probably left Russia.
Yeah,
whereas a lot of them wouldn't have left the Soviet Union.
They were doing that even when you weren't really meant to leave the Soviet Union, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They probably got a bit of a brain drain problem.
Yeah, I hope we see some fusion in our lifetime. That would be crazy to witness.
If it happened in Europe, that would be incredible as well. If Europe became like the world leader in that, it might revitalize the entire European economy.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, presumably, it would be more affordable for a lot of other countries, especially in like the third world, to just import the energy.
I mean, Europe is kind of central to that Eurasian African block of land masses that would kind of allow for energy transmittance and stuff. So, I mean, France is massively leading in nuclear. I mean, France has loads of nuclear energy. Majority of France's grid is nuclear, I'm pretty sure.
That's really interesting. Why
the French
France?
Love it. I don't know, they just really like nuclear energy. I mean, they have nuclear weapons as well. I think they just realise that it's probably more useful rather than using all your fissile material to build reactors that make cheap, safe, and effectively free energy, rather than building bombs that are going to sit in the bunker for 100 years and then have to be dismantled.
The amount of people who would lose money. In fact, surely the fact that Dubai and that whole part of the world is investing so much in non-energy sectors, surely that suggests that a lot of the people, like, you know, at the top of the oil industry or whatever, must be recognizing that this isn't going to last.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how hard they would try to stop the change, though? Surely.
I think they
this
are.
This is where you get
already.
like conspiracy theories, but you know.
But there is an element of that. You know, it's like trying to, you know, electric cars. How much lobbying is done, do you think, against electric cars here and in America? And I mean, China's happy to do it because they have no natural resource. They just pump the fuckers out. China makes up for like, you know, like 70% of the world car manufacturing, and a third of that is electric cars.
Maybe I'll get a Chinese car.
Yeah,
I feel like that could be a good idea.
BYD, I keep seeing these around. I think they're fairly new, and they're just being imported now. But it stands for Build Your Dreams, and they just have Build Your Dreams on the back of the car. It's like a fucking Chinese phone. I remember I had a OnePlus phone. That was a Chinese one. And what was
I've never heard of OnePlus.
They were quite good phones back in like 2016. They're kind of not, you know, whatever now. But it whenever you turned it on, it would say OnePlus never settle. Does it get more Chinese than that?
Yeah, you have settled by getting a shitty, cheap Chinese phone, presumably.
No, they were the OnePlus in 2016. They were pretty good phones, actually. They were like shaking up the market quite a bit. But now it's just Huawei.
My friend has a Huawei
Xiaomi.
phone.
Yeah,
my friend's got a Huawei phone, and I think like he's telling me like it feels like he gets spied on a lot.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Like just
because Xiaomi were the massive Chinese phone manufacturer, and then Huawei were like, "Fuck it, we'll try and muscle in on that."
Yeah,
I think Huawei's probably bigger than Xiaomi now, but
I think they probably are. They're the only Chinese phones I really hear about anyone having in this country. So they must be exporting a lot.
It doesn't really make a difference because they're all fucking made in China anyway.
Yeah,
to be real.
Yeah, they're all trash, and they're all made off of like stolen intellectual property from the West anyway.
Or
so it's
we
all
just
like,
or we just build them over there anyway. Like every iPhone is built in China.
Exactly, that's how it's so easy for them to get the intellectual property.
Yeah,
it's
just
like
study it.
They're probably just stealing all the designs. Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you what I did see.
Do you know what I heard about?
Okay, yeah, go on. Mine's to do with intellectual property as well.
Oh,
I saw a headline saying that AI companies might be exempt from intellectual property laws.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah.
I predicted this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I guess, yeah, it was more like a year and a half ago. I was thinking about AI and intellectual property. Yeah. I actually wrote a whole thing about this, which didn't get published, obviously.
No,
it just like got emailed to some of my friends in an episode of Mania. But like, it was, it was about how AI will make intellectual property rights obsolete, and that it will precipitate because they're incompatible. You know, I made this whole argument. I wrote like 100 pages about this.
You should have published it. You could have been
and I predicted that the people who profit the most from AI, i.e. the people who, are in charge of these AI firms, they will lobby to have intellectual property scrapped,
removed.
Yeah. And this is probably the first step in it.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
That would be a good thing in the long run, by the way. I hate intellectual property. I
was watching a video on like digital feudalism, because I know you talk about that quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And talking about think about how many programs and software one uses on a day-to-day basis that used to be you buy a license and you can use it forever, and are now subscription services. Like Microsoft Office Suite, subscription. Adobe products, subscription. And they were expensive before, and you could argue that a subscription makes them more accessible, but you're paying £15 a month for the rest of your life. And for some people, you have to. If you're in graphic design or something, if you don't have Photoshop, what are you going to use? GIMP?
Yeah.
GIMP is fine, more than that. But it isn't Photoshop.
It's the way it affects other industries that are already established as well. So, like, traditionally, say you didn't go to school or whatever, you went to, like, technical college, and then you became, like, a hairdresser, let's say. You get a job at a salon dressing hair.
Yeah.
And you do that, and then you build up some savings, and then eventually, if you're lucky, and, like, maybe you marry someone who's fiscally responsible or whatever, you get to start your own...
salon.
Your own salon, and you become an entrepreneur essentially. So you've gone from working class to middle class. So there's social mobility there. And but nowadays what happens is if you want to run your own salon, I mean, this doesn't always happen yet, but this is how it will happen across the board in the future.
Yeah,
you would have to essentially there would be a middleman. There would be an app that you have to sign up for, and register your salon under, and pay a fee to continue using the app, essentially. So what you're doing is technology has made it possible for large companies not to actually be involved in the production process itself, but to monopolize the like ability for someone to engage in business, essentially. It's different.
Interestingly, that already kind of happens with software. So if you write your own bit of software and try and run it, it'll say, "Oh, Windows doesn't recognize this program and won't launch it." And that's because you have to buy a digital certificate to sign your program before Windows will just run it. So you have to pay Microsoft to just let your program even run on Windows.
Exactly. And this wasn't possible before with analogs of those things.
Yeah.
Because the technology didn't allow you to monopolize that access. Which essentially what that means is, and this is where it gets weird. If you think instead of having workers and then a middle class entrepreneur who owns their labor, there's now a third class, which is this elite class who own the tech companies, and they're the ones who are extracting a form of rent, a form of economic rent.
Exactly,
but it's
digital rent,
cyber rent, digital rent, to be able to have access. So now the next thing to take into account, and this is a bit more speculative, is the impact of automation.
Yeah.
What that might mean is that working class who work for the person in the middle, the entrepreneur, that working class might well vanish. So a hair salon might just be robots doing it. Like, I know that sounds far fetched for some people, but it's on the horizon eventually.
Yeah, at cars. Most cars are just made by robots.
Exactly. So they can definitely dress hair. So at that point, you only have a two-class system. You have an entrepreneur/worker who does all their own, they don't even hire wage laborers anymore because it's all automated. And then you have the landlord.
Landlord to hire the robots.
Yeah, you have a cyber landlord. Yeah, they'll probably take control of that as well, the capital. Just like how a medieval landlord would own the capital, the plows and so on that the peasants would use.
And you're renting the land
essentially. Yeah, so essentially it turns into a feudal relationship. This is something that's been described by Yanis Varoufakis, who's the guy who I think came up with the term techno-feudalism. It's a bit of a hacky idea, but that's the basic idea.
I can see it. I mean, already, if your work relies on Microsoft Office or Adobe Photoshop, you have to pay digital rent to be able to do your job like a fucking feudal peasant.
Yeah,
if you don't,
and eventually that will apply to everything else.
Yeah.
And this raises another point, which is that automation will speed up that process. Because the only way you'll be able to run a business at a sufficient cost to make that business profitable in the future will be through automating your workforce. But who do you get that from? Oh, you have to sign up to this app, which also gives you access to get customers. So essentially, the capitalists will be turned into the workers. Then the original workers will dissolve. They will vanish as a class and presumably become the capitalist. But being a capitalist will actually put you at the bottom. So it's another layer of abstraction built on top of the capitalist production process, which turns it into something resembling land. So this means essentially technology is becoming a new form of land, in essence.
Now, what happens to that working class? Because let's say I'm a truck driver and my truck is now driven by a robot.
Yeah.
How do I live?
Well, I don't know. You probably don't. I imagine global warming will probably also factor into this.
And we'll probably see
most of the third world will probably die horribly in famines or whatever. And then that will give those capitalist workers, the enterprise class, it will give them more bargaining power and so on, and then things might get quite disruptive. Yeah.
I mean, if you ask what's his name, Andrew Yang, he would just say, "Well, give everyone universal basic income."
Well, yeah, but then you end up just running a massive budget deficit doing that, and then having to use inflation to try and get out of that trap. And
also, I think eventually governments would be in the same feudal stranglehold that everyone else would be, because to run the government, you probably need some kind of spreadsheeting program.
Yeah.
Or you go back to pen and paper, which is less efficient.
Well, do you know what the real solution to all this is? And this is what I think will inevitably happen. Pretty much. Essentially, what it would involve is, you don't need that elite class. What you could do is somewhat collectivize in a way that doesn't destroy the market overall. So there'll still be markets, but what you could do is those say there's a specific platform for each company, you know. So and there probably aren't that many companies. There's probably only a few of them because this is all about monopolization. So it's a small economy. So for each industry, there's probably so like for each industry, there's probably one company that everyone works for.
Yeah,
technically, as gig economy workers running their own individual businesses. I mean, why do you need all of that rent that's been extracted from that work to go to one person or a small number of people who own the business who don't do anything? You know, they don't even invest because they're not investing in product, really. They don't have an incentive to because it's a monopolistic market.
Yeah.
So it's not a market, really. So that creates that problem. Like, you know, why do you need them? It would make much more sense for that rent that's extracted from essentially the production process that the entrepreneur workers are actually doing.
Yeah.
You could just distribute that to all the people who work in that company,
who own the shops or whatever. I mean, you'd have to have some kind
so it'd be
of
a
circular.
cooperative.
Yeah, you'd have to have something because otherwise, the people who run the hair salon won't have any customers because no one has any money to get the haircut.
Yeah, and then you could centralize it further.
Toilet paper, whatever people have to have, food.
Yeah, you could centralize it further by taking that rent and directly taking it into the state, and then you wouldn't need income taxes or anything. And you could do the same thing with real estate, with actual land. And at that point, you're living in some kind of weird socialist system that isn't really like, it's not the same kind of socialism as like the Soviet Union. Yeah. Well, it is feudalism. Because you would need a class, you'd need an administrative class to run the state, being paid with that economic rent that's extracted from the real economy. You know, bureaucrats, you'd need them. So that's like your knight class. And then you also need, in order to keep things going, you need a class of a kind of clerical class who aren't in the state itself, but who are involved in scientific research and so on, also funded from that rent. So essentially you have a 3-tier class system of clergy, knights, and peasants. And
I mean, one thing to say about feudalism is very stable. I mean, feudalism is going for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah. Part of the reason for that is that there's no technological development, because the people who make the most, who have the most wealth, i.e. power, are people who own the most land. You know, they're just landowners. And their wealth entirely comes from, you know, economic rent drawn from agriculture. And they don't really have as much of an incentive to invest in new technologies. Because then all that does is it creates a new class of people who sell, you know, better, more advanced plows or whatever. They build and sell that, and then they'll just take over your system and establish capitalism. So, that's why it's so stable, because there's no like disruptive technological advancement really. Yeah, and the moment there is, and no one can control it, you just end up in a capitalist system, which is what happened at the end of the Middle Ages. So,
that was interesting.
Yeah,
that was an interesting conversation that came from the IP. Do you remember what you were going to say before I interrupted?
Oh yeah, I was just learning about this. Scientists taught. Scientists taught a petri dish of brain cells to play Doom.
Ah, very good.
And it is literally just a petri dish of brain cells playing pretty well a game of Doom.
Now, I feel as though I remember a similar petri dish playing Pong.
But Doom is a lot more... Yeah, that's what they said in the article. They'd already done Pong, but they wanted to do something more advanced.
We've given up on doing it to monkeys, clearly.
Yeah.
Elon making a monkey play Pong was boring.
That was very boring. But Doom... So, here's the question. The philosophical question.
Yeah.
Is the brain cells... is the conglomerate of brain cells in the petri dish conscious? Obviously not, really. But if it was, imagine how funny that is, that there is this mind that has been created out of thin air that didn't exist before, that is trapped within Doom. And its whole external reality, the only external reality it has access to, is the game Doom. Like, that's what it's seeing. That's what it senses.
Very like
That's horrible. Could you imagine that being your life?
Yeah, it's got the it's the demon who's convinced you that your entire life is doom, but it actually is.
But we are the actual demon all along. That's the fate of humanity is to be Satan.
Yeah, it's not that we're in the Matrix. We're gonna build it.
Yeah. There you go. So now you add some like concrete materialist reading of history into your account of Descartes, and it's like actually no, he's describing the fate of the future.
Humanity.
Which is that we create consciousness and we create consciousness and trick it into thinking that doom is real.
I mean, I think if we have, how crazy would it be if computers just became like brains? You'd plug your CPU in and it's like a brain in a jar. And instead of liquid cooling, you've just got blood going around it. Dude, that would be a sick sci-fi kind of thing.
Well, that is probably the future of technology. It will start to look more and more like
biological,
nature. And
already, like, think artificial neural networks basically kind of copy the blueprint of a brain.
Yeah.
With all these these nodes that are just doing a singular operation, like a brain.
Yeah.
And passing it on to another neuron that does a singular operation until you get a result.
Well, that was how AI kind of developed to this point, because originally the idea behind AI was that consciousness must ultimately be computational. And so the original AI was like, the original technologies for that were built still on like Boolean logic, just like how, a computer is designed.
Yeah, decision trees and things.
And it wasn't until later on, I guess in like maybe like after the 50s, like in the 70s, I guess, they started to think about AI in terms of like neural networks and like, well, why don't we model it on the brain itself, rather than kind of getting there backwards.
Yeah, I mean, machine learning has been around for ages, and probably a lot, like, I use regression algorithms and stuff all the time. I mean, that's machine learning as well. It's not like Google, it's not like ChatGPT, but it's teaching a computer to figure out the best equation to represent data and stuff.
Yeah. Well, even the technology that the LLMs are built on is like not that new. Like, it comes from the 90s.
It's really weird how, I mean, it's all kind of black box, but when you look at some of the, like, because all it's doing is it's basically plotting relations of words into numbers. You think, like, it gives music a specific value and then thinks, right, what's close to music? Well, love. People associate music and love together, so we'll give it a slightly similar number. It's really bizarre.
It's just like drawing connections between things.
Abstracting these things, these ideas into just numbers and relations between them.
Yeah, but the technology to do that has been around since, like, in some form, since the early 90s, I think. It's the thing that's changed it all is the internet and the growth of the internet, which creates these huge data sets for them to work with.
And the computing power we have compared to the 90s.
Yeah, the servers, the size of the servers you can have is, like, ridiculous.
That's probably the thing that will change. The only reason I can see why living brains wouldn't become computers is that you can probably build smaller electronics than you can living cells.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because you're just dealing with light, basically, with just electricity traveling around.
Because, I mean, the smallest transistors ever built are literally just a single metal atom, another one, and another one. It's just 3 in a row. That's as small as you can possibly go.
Yeah, it's not like connections between molecules, which is how cells are constructed, if that's the right word. Probably isn't. But, that's a much bigger level than...
But a whole cell is a couple of micrometers, whereas this is in the picometer range, just...
Yeah. And then when we get quantum computing... that will change everything. We're having a very futurist episode today.
Yeah, this is good though. I'm
talking about it's pretty. Yeah, me too. It's hard not to be constantly thinking about technology in this day and age and what it's going to do, how it's going to change your life. Because I think we're all aware of the fact that everything is like changing a lot, like very quickly, and we're not even there yet. Like, we're not that far into this process. It's like. The AI stuff, like, this is new technology.
Technology...
We've only been using it.
This explosion has been happening for, 70 years, if that? Since the end of the Second World War, basically.
Exactly. Think about, and going back to like feudalism, think about how slowly the rate of change was in terms of technological development in the Middle Ages.
Like the 10th century until the 15th took like 500, 600 years to get out of the yoke
and
of
most
feudalism.
of the like development in the human mind that was occurring over that time was basically just happening within theology.
Yeah, I was
like that's where the most
theological, yeah.
And it was just like arguments about it, like just imagined things, and like, it was just the paralogisms of Kant, just these like arguments that can go anywhere and be, rigorously logical in an Aristotelian sense, but like they're still, but you can come up with an equally good counter argument that's just as rational, and it's just this nonsense of imagined. Like, I mean, it's cool. I do like medieval theology.
Yeah, medieval theology is really cool.
It's fucking clever because the people who came up with it were not stupid, but at the same time, like it's a complete misuse of our rational faculties. Yeah.
Because what's it called? Is it the ontological argument for God, that you can't imagine anything more supreme than God, therefore he must exist, effectively? To dumb it down,
the Anselm's wording,
St. Anselm's,
that's than which nothing greater can be conceived.
That's it, yeah, and therefore God must exist, because otherwise you'd conceive of something greater, which must exist. Yeah,
because
it has to be. It has to exist to be great.
The perfect being, has to exist. Otherwise, that would be an imperfection.
Yeah. It's so clever. I mean, it's hard to
it's hard
to dispute. Didn't it take? I mean, Kant was trying to dispute.
Kant was the guy who actually refuted it. Yeah. No one had been able to really come up with a good refutation.
Yeah, it took hundreds of years to be like, maybe that's not quite right.
I mean, Leibniz believed the argument. I think he agreed with the ontological argument. He came up with his own variation of it. I can't remember, but it was like widely accepted.
It's a good argument. It's very logical.
Yeah, and then Kant comes along and says that's not. Existence isn't a predicate or whatever his terminology is.
of greatness. Or
so it's a categorical error. The categories are getting mixed up. Yeah.
Of course, it's like the most autistic possible argument you can think of. Actually, you misassigned this word.
It's the most like Reddit level like argument.
But
it's like
crazy
someone saying
how
straw man fallacy.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy how like specific you have to be to refute it. Yeah. And I feel like nowadays, when I mention the argument to people I don't know at work, just to start a conversation or something, people are like, that doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, but they don't know why.
Yeah, they kind of inherently know
it's not
wrong.
that it's not that it's actually that like irrational to them. It's just because they've been brought up in a culture that that has its own concept of what common sense looks like, which is radically different from the idea of common sense that someone in the Middle Ages would have had. And actually it's just a bundle of prejudices. Now, I will say that the development of history is somewhat rational. So, like, it's not like our prejudices are getting worse. Like, they're necessarily. They do at times, but, like, in terms of these kinds of prejudices, it's more rational. But that rationality isn't coming from the individual person. It's coming from the rationality of the culture they've been brought up in. Most people would just have a bunch of blind prejudices, like this is why we have atheists who are like hardcore atheists in our time, even though it's a stupid thing. It's like, I don't believe in this thing, so I'm going to get really fucking worked up about it.
But it's the same as militant theists.
Yeah, because it's the same psychology behind it that's making them have these beliefs.
I mean, atheism in a way is it's a religion of itself in that you're vehemently denying the existence. But you have no more proof than proof that God exists.
Yeah. When someone says, oh, that ontological argument thing you just explained to me sounds, it's clearly nonsense.
Flawed. Yeah.
What they're actually saying is, unconsciously, what they're saying is, I want you to know that I am someone who participates in the same culture as you, that has, certain prejudices, i.e. a prejudice towards, any claim on theological questions to be scientific, prejudice about what it means for something to be scientific. And I'm part of that culture, so you can trust me. That's what they're unconsciously actually saying. They haven't thought about it. and thought, is this rational? And then done like 300 years of philosophical research in their head, and then figured out like, oh no, that's how it's wrong, you know?
Yeah, because I think if you hear that argument and just say that's bollocks, you're not thinking about it nearly enough. Because when I heard that, I was like, holy shit.
Could it be true?
Yeah.
I remember like reading Aquinas' 5 Ways when I was like, the arguments from causation and so on, for the existence of God. I remember reading that when I was probably 14. Well, it's like, there has to be an uncaused cause, because otherwise you have an infinite chain of causes. Because
something has the prime mover kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the prime mover. I remember reading those when I was like 14, and I was like, oh shit, maybe this guy worked it out. These are very good arguments. Like, it's like, and I'd never heard those kinds of arguments before. So I just thought people chose to believe in God for like, emotional reasons or whatever, or because they had some kind of mystical experience. And then I thought but I never thought like, oh, you can come up with a rational argument.
Or just that it was the orthodoxy of the time. I think people underestimate how clever people were 1,000 years ago, even though anatomically humans haven't changed for 150,000 years.
Yeah.
I think it's hubristic to assume that just because we're talking on a computer, how many people nowadays can you ask on the street how a computer works?
Yeah.
You're using the tech, but you don't know how it works. It's that hubris of we live in a more advanced time, ergo we must be smarter.
Yeah,
now,
a medieval person
retarded today.
Yeah, and there were people in the Middle Ages. The average person could navigate for miles through basically forests at night time in the dark.
Make their own food and live.
Yeah,
and kill other things, and do all the stuff that most people nowadays can't do.
We can't navigate, and like actually, they've done research on like how like using Google Maps too much is actually like bad for your brain. It can like accelerate dementia and stuff, because it's like you're not exercising your brain enough to navigate in reality. You're turning your whole existence into an abstraction. When you're walking around using Google Maps, you're not looking at your surroundings. You're looking at this weird abstract map that you're on. Like, you're completely consumed within that.
And you're only relating the beginning to the end, and not the in-between that gets you there.
And it's such a simplified reality. You're not looking around noticing all the details in nature
and people walking around and shops changing and how busy it is, because you're looking at the map.
You're not processing enough. You're living in a flat two-dimensional universe. It's like... Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, this is what that video on techno-feudalism I was watching was about, because he was talking about how, at the moment, AI is a massive loss-making business, because everyone's using it, and eventually they won't be able to not use it, and then you charge them for it. Yeah. And it's another aspect of being able to survive that you need to pay for, and thus...
Yeah, exactly.
You become a peasant in a feudal economy, effectively.
Yeah, you're just
paying rent. You have to pay rent to someone to do your work and earn your life. Earn your way,
Yeah.
And that's jolly.
Fucking crazy.
Fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Just finished toking this joint. Right, anything else going on
this week? Of course.
We've gone from Iran, which is like a massive thing, into just this bizarre... Labour and Conservative...
We got Alien Files should be coming out. Alien Files should be coming out, but they haven't.
Are they people who want to fuck aliens, or...?
No, it's
no, it's not like paedophile.
No. No, Trump said he'd release like a bunch of files on UFOs and stuff.
Yeah,
like
okay,
FBI
so that's a complete nothing burger. Nothing's going to come of that.
Well, it hasn't been released.
Yeah. Well, they're going to wait until more
happen,
Epstein files come out, and then they'll probably dump those just to get people distracted. Reform... In our weekly update on polling data, which is only relevant for people from the UK, Labour and Conservative both at 19% now. They've evened out. Labour has dropped so much, they're almost doing worse than the Tories, and Reform's still in the lead by almost double. So yeah.
What, nationally?
Yeah.
Interesting. Reform are in the lead.
Yeah. 27% to Reform on the 4th of March, so a couple of days ago.
We're a Green below the Tories.
Not by much. Labour at 19, Conservatives at 19, Greens at 15, and Liberal Democrats at a nice 12%.
Nice, Lib Dem. Maybe I'll just vote Lib Dems from now on.
Just fuck it and all just like Lib Dem.
Yeah, just like I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we could probably end it here. I mean, we've had
I think that's been a very good chat. That's been some
very
stimulating
conversation.
Stuff. Yeah, it's almost been an hour as well. Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
We blitzed through that.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for joining us for episode 18. Maybe next time there'll be more funny things to talk about.
Yeah, well the thing is, now that she's 18, she's kind of thinking about these greater things, what does she want to do with her
future.
life? Yeah, well, what's life going to be like, in 10 years?
Exactly.
What
yeah,
degree
because I
does
was
she want to
definitely
do at
thinking
uni?
about that when I was 18.
Yeah, I think what I was thinking about 18 was like, what size bong should I buy? Turns out it was a big one.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, everyone. Please give us a like, drop a comment, subscribe. If you don't, your mother will die in her sleep tonight. Yeah, and have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, see you next week. Amen.
See you next week. Amen.